Sam called Tom. Tom, you knew that money could have helped the kids at Camp Toby, just like it would have helped Jeffrey. Tom let out a slow breath. Yeah, I knew, but you went and changed the tests on my son without talking to me, my wife, or even getting proper medical consent. Sam shot back. His doctor told you and your wife to lie to Jeffrey so he wouldn't get overwhelmed. Tom's voice hardened. You already know that, so why are you even asking me? Sam paused for a second then said, because I'm with John, Max, Link, and my dad right now. They all want the truth. They're asking questions. He stepped closer to the phone, lowering his voice. They want to hear it from you, Tom, so go ahead, explain it to them. Tom's voice shook slightly. Jeffrey is confused ever since the seizure and the coma. His memory isn't right. He swallowed hard before continuing. He thinks a couple we know are his real parents. He remembers things that didn't happen, like memories from a different timeline. There was a long pause. The doctor told us if he gets too overwhelmed, it could trigger another seizure. And this time, Tom's voice cracked, this time it could put him back into a coma. He took a breath, struggling to stay steady. We got lucky he woke up the first time. The next time, he might not wake up at all. Silence hit the room after Tom's words. Sam didn't speak right away, he just stared at the phone, jaw tight. Then John stepped forward. Tom, you expect us to just accept that? You let him live a lie. Max shook his head. He thinks someone else is his parents. Do you hear how messed up that is? Link crossed his arms. You didn't protect him, you controlled the story. Tom's voice came through, sharper now. I protected my son. Sam finally snapped. No, you protected yourself. That landed. Tom fired back. You weren't there when he was in that hospital bed, Sam. You didn't see him hooked up to machines, not knowing if he'd ever wake up. Sam's voice rose, and now he's awake, Tom. He deserves the truth. He deserves to stay alive, Tom shouted. If the truth puts him back in a coma, what good is it? Max cut in, quieter but firm. So what's your plan? Let him build his life on something that isn't real. Tom didn't answer right away. John stepped closer to Sam, speaking toward the phone. You're asking everyone to lie to him, that doesn't hold forever. Link added, what happens when he finds out anyway, because he will. Tom exhaled heavily. The doctor said we go slow, we don't drop everything on him at once, we wait until he's stable. Sam shook his head. No, that's not what you've been doing, you've been hiding it. Another silence. Then Sam's voice dropped, quieter but more dangerous. I'm here with everyone right now, Tom, my dad too, they all heard what you just said. A beat. So I'm going to ask you one more time, are you going to tell Jeffrey the truth? On the other end, Tom didn't answer. The silence said enough. Sam closed his eyes for a second, then opened them. Then we will. Tom's voice came back strained. Billy, you're a dad, you're hearing all of this, what would you do? There was a pause before Billy spoke. Guys, stop, his voice was calm but firm. All three of you just stop attacking Tom like this, hear him out. The room went quiet again. Billy continued, slower now. Jeffrey has more going on than Sam realizes. This isn't just about telling the truth or not, it's about what he can handle. Max frowned but didn't interrupt. Billy took a breath. If it were my son, I'd rather keep him alive by lying than tell him the truth and risk another seizure. That hit hard. I'm not saying it's right, Billy added. I'm saying it's real because if pushing the truth too fast puts him back in a coma, his voice tightened, you might not get another chance to fix anything. John looked away. Link shook his head, quieter now. So we just what, pretend forever? Billy answered immediately, no, not forever, but not like this either. Sam's eyes locked on the phone. Then when? Billy didn't hesitate. When he's strong enough to survive it. Sam's voice dropped, and who decides that? On the other end, Tom finally spoke again, softer now. The people trying to keep him alive. The room fell into a heavy silence, no one fully agreeing but no one able to ignore the truth in it either. The tension in the room snapped. Jeffrey rolled into the living room, eyes locked on the phone. A lie is a lie, he said, voice shaking but loud enough to cut through everything. Grow up and move on, at least I'm not on my deathbed right now. Everyone froze. Sam reacted instantly. Tom, point your laptop at Jeffrey now. There was fumbling on the other end, then Tom's voice came through, uneasy. He just went back into his room. Sam's expression darkened. Of course he did. John muttered under his breath he heard enough. Max looked toward the hallway. That's worse than telling him straight. Link shook his head. Now he's filling in the blanks himself. Sam took a step forward, already moving. I'm not letting him sit in there alone thinking we're all lying to him. He turned back to the phone one last time. You don't get to hide behind protecting him anymore, Tom, not after this. Sam headed down the hallway toward Jeffrey's room. And whatever came next wasn't going to be controlled anymore. Sam stopped in the doorway. Jeffrey didn't turn around. Guys, I had a seizure, I was in a coma, he said, steady but tired, and you're all out there arguing about lies. He finally looked over his shoulder. I'm not sitting here trying to fill in blanks like you think I am. A beat. All I'm doing is trying to live my life. The room went quiet behind him. Sam softened just a little. Jeffrey, it's not that simple. Jeffrey shook his head. No, it is, you're the ones making it complicated. He faced forward again. I woke up, I'm here, that should be enough right now. Sam hesitated, caught between pushing and backing off. And for the first time, he didn't have an answer. Jeffrey's voice stayed calm, but there was an edge to it. Are we done here? Sam didn't answer right away. He looked toward the hallway, then back at Jeffrey. No, Sam said finally, we're not done. Jeffrey exhaled sharply, of course not. Sam stepped closer, lowering his voice but not backing off. You keep saying you're fine, but you're not getting the full truth of what's going on around you. Jeffrey turned fully now, eyes locked on him. I'm fine, I'm standing here talking to you, or I. That's not what I mean, Sam pushed. You're building your life on things that aren't accurate. People are protecting you from information you should know. Jeffrey let out a short laugh, but it wasn't amused. Protecting me or controlling what I know? Sam hesitated, but only for a second. If you hear everything at once, it could overwhelm you, it could trigger another seizure. That landed in the room like a weight. Jeffrey's expression shifted slightly, but his voice stayed steady. So that's it, you're using my health as a reason to keep me in the dark. It's not like that, Sam said quickly. It's about timing, about doing this safely. Jeffrey shook his head. You don't get to decide what version of my life I'm allowed to hear. Sam stepped forward again. Jeffrey, listen to me, there are things about your past, about your family situation that don't match what you believe right now. Jeffrey's jaw tightened. Stop. Sam didn't stop. You think you remember everything clearly, but you don't. There are gaps, real gaps, and people have been trying to cover them so you wouldn't spiral. That was it. Jeffrey's voice dropped, colder now. So I'm not just wrong, I'm unreliable now too. No, Sam said, you're recovering. Jeffrey stared at him for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Okay. A pause. Then I think we're done here. He turned back toward his room. Sam took a step forward. Jeffrey, wait. But the door was already closing. Jeffrey stood at the doorway, voice flat but firm. Dad, if they want to tell me, then check me into a hospital, send them the address. Tom hesitated on the other end. Are you sure? Jeffrey didn't even blink. The quicker, the better, so they can leave me alone and move on with their lives, and I can show them they're wasting their time. A pause settled over the line. Sam stepped forward slightly, alarmed. Jeffrey, that's not what this is. Jeffrey cut him off without raising his voice. It is for me. Tom's voice came softer now. Jeff, you don't have to shut everyone out like this. Jeffrey finally looked up, eyes tired but steady. I'm not shutting them out, I'm choosing peace. Another beat. If there's something I need to know, then I'll hear it when I'm ready, not when everyone else decides I can handle it. Silence. Sam looked at Tom through the laptop feed. Frustration building, but there was no easy angle left to push. Jeffrey stepped back into his room. And until then, he added quieter, I'm done with this conversation. The door closed. Click. And this time nobody spoke. 2 weeks later. Jeffrey was back in the hospital room, monitors quietly beeping around him. The atmosphere was calmer now, but heavy in a different way, like everyone had already spent all their anger and only honesty was left. Tom stood near the bed, arms tense at his sides. Sam and Billy were there too, along with Josh. Sam took a breath. Jeffrey, I'm going to tell you everything, no more half-truths. Tom didn't stop him this time. So Sam did. He explained it all slowly, carefully. The tests, the confusion after the seizure, the fears about overwhelming him, and the parts of his memory that didn't line up with what had actually happened. Billy stayed quiet but didn't interrupt. Tom just watched his son, bracing for the reaction. When Sam finally finished, the room went still. Jeffrey stared at the ceiling for a moment, processing it all. No outburst, no shock, just quiet understanding settling in. Then he turned his head slightly toward Tom. Thanks for telling me, Dad. Tom's eyes softened, relief and guilt mixing together. He nodded once. Jeffrey gave a small, tired breath. Let's go home. A pause. Then, almost like it was the most normal thing in the world. Josh wants me to watch a movie with him when I get back. A faint, almost fragile smile appeared on his face. For the first time in a long while, no one argued. Sam looked down, letting out a slow breath. Billy glanced at Tom. Maybe that's the best step right now. And Tom finally reached out, gently squeezing Jeffrey's shoulder. Yeah, he said quietly, let's go home. Jeffrey shifted in the bed, then looked straight at Sam. So what, can I go now? Sam blinked, caught off guard by how calm he sounded. Jeffrey, you just heard all of that, don't you need a minute? Jeffrey shrugged lightly. I've had 2 weeks of minutes. That landed. He glanced toward his dad. I'm still here, I'm okay, nothing you said changes that right now. Tom stepped closer. We still have to make sure you're cleared to leave. Jeffrey nodded, then do that. A beat. But I'm not sitting here spiraling over it, he added. You told me the truth, that's what everyone wanted, right? Sam exhaled slowly. Yeah, it is. Jeffrey gave a small nod, like he'd checked something off a list. Good, then let's move forward. He looked back at Tom. Dad, can we go home after they clear me? Tom didn't hesitate this time. Yeah, he said, we'll go home. Jeffrey leaned back slightly, calmer than anyone expected. And I'm still watching that movie, he added. No more delays. For the first time, Sam almost smiled. Jeffrey looked at Sam, steady, no anger, just clarity. Sam, please don't put your trauma on other people. The room went still. That stuff you're carrying, he continued quietly, that's yours to deal with, not mine. Sam opened his mouth but nothing came out. Jeffrey didn't raise his voice. I get why you pushed, I do, but you don't get to decide how I handle my life just because you're scared of what might happen. A beat. You trying to control everything, that's what's making this worse. Sam swallowed, the words hitting harder than anything shouted before. Jeffrey leaned back slightly, calmer now. I'm not saying you don't care, he added. I'm saying you don't know when to stop. Silence stretched between them. Then Jeffrey glanced toward his dad. Can we go home now? Tom nodded, placing a hand on his shoulder. Yeah, we can go home. Sam stayed where he was, quiet, finally hearing what he needed to hear. The van hummed softly as they pulled away from the hospital. No one spoke for a while. Jeffrey sat by the window, watching the world pass by, cars, lights, people just living their lives. Then quietly, Dad, I feel sorry for him. Tom glanced over, Sam. Jeffrey nodded. Yeah. A pause. He's so caught up in what could happen, he doesn't see what is happening. Tom kept his eyes on the road. He thought he was helping you. I know, Jeffrey said, that's the problem. Another beat. He's scared, and when people get scared, they try to control everything around them. Tom let out a small breath. You're not wrong. Jeffrey shifted slightly in his seat. I'm not mad at him, he added. I just don't want to live like that. Tom glanced at him again, softer this time. How do you want to live? Jeffrey looked back out the window, a faint reflection of himself staring back. One day at a time, he said, not 10 disasters ahead. Silence settled again, but this time it felt lighter. Tom nodded. That's a good place to start. Jeffrey gave a small, almost tired smile. And step 1, he said, is that movie with Josh. Tom actually smiled at that. Yeah, he said, step 1. The van kept moving forward. And for once. So were they. Sam shook his head, still stuck on it. That can't be normal. Billy didn't even hesitate. Jeffrey feels how he feels. Sam looked over, frustrated. you don't think it's weird, everything he just found out and he's just okay. Billy kept his voice steady. No, I think he's choosing how to handle it. Sam frowned, or he's ignoring it. Billy shook his head. Not everything has to look like a breakdown to be real, Sam. That slowed him down. Billy added quieter now, some people fall apart, some people focus on what's in front of them. Sam looked away thinking. Billy leaned back slightly. Right now, what's in front of him is going home and watching a movie with his brother. A beat. Let him have that. Sam exhaled, tension still there, but less certain now. Yeah, he said quietly, maybe. The van rolled on in silence. Later back home, Jeffrey rolled into the room where Josh was waiting. Sorry, bro, Jeffrey said. My camp director wanted to tell me about my life, but honestly, he just wasted my time, Dad's time, his dad's time, everyone's time. Josh looked at him confused. Wait, what was it about? Jeffrey shrugged like it didn't matter. Nothing important. A small pause, then he shifted the mood himself. So what movie are we watching? Josh lit up a little. Green Lantern. Jeffrey nodded. All right, let's do it. Tom watched from the doorway as the two of them settled in. No big speech, no breakdown. Just a movie. In somehow. That said everything. The credits rolled, the room dim and calm. Josh had already dozed off on the couch. Tom stood there for a second, then finally spoke. I'm sorry, Jeff. Jeffrey didn't look at him right away. He kept his eyes on the screen a moment longer, then turned. For what? Tom swallowed. For not telling you sooner, for all of it. Jeffrey studied him, not angry, just steady. You and Mom did it for a reason, he said. Tom nodded, but it didn't ease him. Jeffrey continued, calm but honest, and honestly, I don't really care about the timing. That caught Tom off guard. Jeffrey shrugged slightly. If you two wanted to tell me, you would have. A beat. But you were trying to keep me safe, I get that. Tom's voice softened. You're not mad. Jeffrey shook his head. No. Then after a pause. I just don't want everything to turn into a big thing all the time. That landed deeper than anything else. Tom nodded slowly. Yeah, I hear you. Jeffrey leaned back, tired but at peace. I'm still here, he said. That's what matters. Tom let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Yeah, he said quietly, that's what matters. The TV went dark. And for once, nothing needed fixing. Tom glanced at Jeffrey, his voice softer now. Let's get you changed and into bed. Jeffrey nodded, then paused, something still on his mind. Sam's family really doesn't know how to mind their own business. Tom didn't interrupt. Jeffrey continued, a little more edge in his voice now. They've got a whole camp to run, but they're all up in my family's life like it's theirs. He shook his head. Thank God I'm not going back to Camp Toby. Tom looked at him carefully. You sure about that? Jeffrey didn't hesitate. Yeah, I'm done with all that. A quiet moment passed as Tom helped him get settled. Jeffrey relaxed back into bed, the tension finally leaving his shoulders. I just want things simple, he said. No drama, no people deciding stuff for me. Tom nodded. Then we'll keep it simple. Jeffrey gave a small, tired nod. Good. The room went quiet, calm settling in. For real this time. Dea called Sam. Her voice was calm, but there was no mistaking the edge in it. Sam, Tom told me what happened. Sam didn't respond right away. Dea continued. One thing needs to be clear, our family matters stay within our family. A pause sharp and deliberate. You crossed a line. Sam tried to speak. Dea, I was just trying to. She cut him off. No. You were trying to control something that isn't yours to control. Silence. Then her tone dropped, colder now. Next time you insert yourself into our lives like that, it won't end in a conversation. Another beat. A cop will be involved. Sam stiffened. And just so we're perfectly clear, Dea added, if that happens, it won't be Jeffrey they're dealing with. The meaning landed. Heavy. Final. Dea didn't wait for a response. She hung up. Sam stood there, phone still in his hand. Realizing for the first time. This wasn't just disagreement anymore. It was a boundary. Dea didn't hang up right away. Her voice came back, quieter now but sharper. Sam, let me ask you something. He stayed silent. What if all of that, everything you pushed on him, overwhelmed him? A pause. What if it triggered a seizure and put him back into a coma? Sam's grip tightened on the phone. Dea didn't let up. Did you ever think about that, or were you too focused on needing to be right? He tried to answer, but nothing came out. Her tone softened just a fraction, but the weight stayed. He didn't go through that for himself, Sam. Another beat. He handled it the way he did, so you and your family would finally leave him alone. That hit hard. Dea finished steady and final. So ask yourself, was this really about helping him, or about making you feel better? Silence. No anger left. Just truth sitting in the space between them. Sam's voice came through, defensive now. He had a right to know. Dea didn't respond right away. Before she could, Jeffrey spoke from across the room. Mom, he doesn't understand. Dea glanced over at him. Jeffrey shook his head slightly, calm but done with it. At this point, just hang up on him. A small pause. And relax. Dea studied her son for a second, how steady he was, how finished he sounded. Then she brought the phone back to her ear. You heard him, she said quietly. No anger, no argument left. Just a boundary. Then, she hung up. The room went still. Jeffrey leaned back, exhaling. See, he said, that's how you deal with it. Dea let out a small breath, tension finally easing. I might start taking your advice more often. Jeffrey gave a faint smile. Probably a good idea. And for the first time since all of this started, there was actual peace in the room. Jeffrey looked over at his dad, serious now. Dad, can you have Uncle Peter get a restraining order on Sam? Tom's expression shifted. That's a big step, Jeff. Jeffrey didn't back down. Not just him, he added. His whole family, they're all giving me stress and I don't need that right now or ever. The room went quiet. Tom stepped a little closer. Hey, I hear you, you want space, you want this to stop. Jeffrey nodded, exactly. Tom took a breath, choosing his words carefully. Restraining orders aren't something we just get because someone, being difficult, he said. There has to be clear harassment or threats and a judge has to approve it. Jeffrey frowned slightly. They are bothering me. I know, Tom said, and we can deal with that, but there are steps before something like that. A pause. We can block them, make it clear they're not allowed to contact you. If they keep pushing after that, then we talk to Peter and look at legal options. Jeffrey leaned back, thinking. I just want it to stop. Tom nodded, then we'll make it stop the right way. After a moment, Jeffrey gave a small nod. Okay. Tom put a hand on his shoulder. You don't have to fight this alone. And this time, Jeffrey didn't feel like he had to. Sam paced back and forth, still shaken from the call. This isn't right, he muttered. He's not thinking clearly. Without waiting, he grabbed his phone again. He called APS, Adult Protective Services. When someone picked up, he spoke fast. I need to report something. A vulnerable adult, Jeffrey, his family is withholding information and making decisions that could affect his health. He paused, listening, then added. There's medical stuff involved too. I think his care isn't being handled properly. After that call, he made another. This time to a medical network connected to Jeffrey's care. I'm trying to flag a concern, Sam said. There are decisions being made that could put him at risk. Back at the house, Tom's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, frowning. APS. Dea looked up instantly. You've got to be kidding me. Tom answered, already knowing. Hello. As he listened, his expression hardened. Across the room, Jeffrey watched. What is it? He asked. Tom lowered the phone slowly. Sam, he said, he just escalated this. Jeffrey let out a slow breath, not surprised. Of course he did. Dea shook her head. That's exactly what I warned him about. Tom looked at Jeffrey, steady but serious. Okay, now we document everything. Jeffrey nodded once. Yeah, now we do it the right way. The situation had just shifted. From personal conflict to something official. Jeffrey's eyes narrowed the second Tom said APS. Dad, no, call Uncle Peter, have him get here now. Tom nodded, already reaching for his phone. I knew he'd do this, Jeffrey added, tension rising in his voice. I can't deal with all of this at once. Josh stepped closer. Hey, I've got you. Jeffrey looked at him. Can you help me settle back in my chair, make sure everything's secure? Yeah, Josh said, careful and steady. I'll help you get comfortable. He adjusted Jeffrey's position, checking the supports and making sure he was stable, not rushed, not forceful. Tom stayed on the phone. Peter, we need you here now, Sam called APS. A beat. Yeah, I figured you'd say that. Across the room, Dea was already gathering paperwork. We document everything, she said. Medical records, discharge notes, everything ready. Jeffrey took a slow breath, trying to steady himself. I'm fine, he said, more to himself than anyone else. I just need this handled the right way. Josh stayed beside him. We've got you. Tom hung up. Peter on his way. Jeffrey nodded once, jaw set. Good. Outside, the situation was escalating. But inside, they were getting organized. And this time, they were ready. A knock hit the door. Then another firmer. Tom looked toward it. That's them. Before he could move, headlights flashed through the window. Dea glanced outside. 2 cars. Tom opened the door and froze for half a second. Peter stood there on one side, briefcase in hand. On the other, 2 APS workers, badges visible. Peter gave a quick nod. Good timing. One of the APS workers spoke first. We're here to follow up on a report regarding Jeffrey. Tom stepped aside, controlled but guarded. Come in. They entered. Jeffrey was already in the living room, sitting upright, composed. Josh stayed beside him, quiet support. Peter moved closer to Jeffrey. Hey, I'm here. Jeffrey nodded once. Figured you would be. An APS worker approached gently. Hi, Jeffrey, we just want to ask a few questions, make sure you're safe and your needs are being met. Jeffrey didn't hesitate. I'm safe. They exchanged a quick glance. That's good to hear, we still need to go through the process. Peter stepped in, calm but firm, and I'll be present for that. The worker nodded, of course. Dea handed over a folder, medical records, discharge papers, everything you'll need. Tom added he was just cleared, we're following all medical guidance. The APS worker flipped through briefly, then looked back at Jeffrey. Do you feel pressured by your family in any way? Jeffrey shook his head, no. A beat. Actually, he added steady, the only pressure I've had is from someone outside my family. The room shifted slightly. Peter glanced at Tom. That's important. The worker nodded. Can you tell us more about that? Jeffrey didn't rush. Someone who doesn't know when to stop, who thinks pushing me is helping. Another pause. But I've made it clear I'm fine, I just want to live my life. Silence. The workers softened a bit. Okay, one said, we understand. Peter stepped forward slightly, and will be addressing that external interference appropriately. Jeffrey leaned back, calm and control. No panic. No confusion. Just clarity. And in that moment, the entire situation flipped. The APS worker looked up from the notes. Who is it, Jeffrey? Jeffrey didn't hesitate. Camp Toby, the camp director, Sam. Both workers exchanged a look immediately. One of them sighed under their breath. This guy again. That shifted the entire room. The worker closed the folder, tone softer now. All right, that gives us context. They glanced at Tom and Dea. Sorry for disrupting your day. Based on what we're seeing and hearing, this doesn't look like a concern with your household. Relief, quiet but real. The second worker nodded toward Peter. Honestly, you may want to move quickly on a restraining order if the contact continues. Peter gave a small, firm nod. Already in motion. The worker offered a final look to Jeffrey. You handled that well. Jeffrey just shrugged. I told you I'm fine. A faint smile. Good, the worker said, that's what we like to see. They headed for the door. And just like that, the pressure that had been building all day was gone. Peter turned back toward the family. All right, now we make sure it stays that way. Jeffrey leaned back, finally able to breathe easy. Yeah, he said, now we're done with him. For real this time. Jeffrey looked over at Peter, a little less certain now. Uncle Peter, do I have to talk in court? Peter didn't rush the answer. Maybe. Jeffrey frowned slightly. Maybe. Peter stepped closer, keeping his tone calm. It depends on how far this goes. Sometimes a judge just looks at the paperwork and evidence. Other times they might want to hear directly from you. Jeffrey shifted a bit. I don't really want to do that. I get it, Peter said, and we'll try to keep it as easy on you as possible. A pause. But if you do have to speak, it's not like what you're thinking. It's usually simple, just telling the truth about what happened and how it affected you. Jeffrey looked down for a second, thinking. Okay. Peter added, reassuring, and you wouldn't be alone. I'd be right there with you the whole time. That helped. Jeffrey gave a small nod. All right. Peter gave a slight smile. We'll handle it one step at a time. And for Jeffrey. That was enough. The judge looked down from the bench. Jeffrey, are you all right to continue? Jeffrey nodded. Yes, Your Honor, I'm good. The judge turned. All right, proceed. Sam stepped forward quickly. Your Honor, when APS showed up, they saw Jeffrey shaking, unstable. He even said he felt like he was about to have a seizure. That's exactly my point. His family is hiding things from him. That's not safe. Murmurs in the room. Jeffrey didn't wait. I don't care, he said, steady. It's my health, my family. The room quieted. If they hold things back sometimes, it's for my safety. Sam shook his head. So you don't want free will? That's not healthy, Jeffrey. Jeffrey's expression hardened. Don't put words in my mouth. A pause sharp. I never said that. He looked directly at the judge now. I make my own decisions, I just don't need everything thrown at me all at once, especially when it can affect my health. Silence settled. Even the judge leaned forward slightly. Jeffrey stayed calm, controlled. I'm not being controlled, he added. I'm being supported. That landed. Sam had nothing immediate to say. And for the first time, the room was fully on Jeffrey's side. The judge leaned forward slightly. Jeffrey, I want to understand something directly from you. The room quieted. Why do you want other people involved in your care to withhold your medical information from you? Jeffrey took a breath. He didn't rush. That's not what I want, he said. A pause. I don't want people hiding things from me. He glanced briefly toward Sam, then back to the judge. I want people to communicate with me in a way that doesn't overwhelm me. The judge listened closely. Jeffrey continued, steady but firm. After my seizure and coma, my doctor told my family there were ways to talk to me about stressful information without triggering another episode. A beat. That's what they were trying to do, not lie, not control me, just pace it. He shifted slightly in his seat. I make my own choices, but I also need to stay medically stable enough to make them. The judge nodded slowly. So your concern is not secrecy, it's how and when information is shared with you. Jeffrey nodded once. Exactly. He looked forward again. I don't want anyone speaking for me, I just want it done safely. A quiet pause settled over the courtroom. The judge made a note. Understood. And the direction of the case subtly shifted again, toward structure, not control. The judge raised a hand slightly, steadying the room. Everyone one at a time. Sam stepped forward again, voice tense. Your Honor, he's being coached on what to say. I have a friend, Dr. David McGrath, who can evaluate him independently from his family. This isn't just a family disagreement, this is about his autonomy. A murmur moved through the room. Jeffrey didn't wait long before responding. Your Honor, he said clearly, I want a restraining order to keep Sam and anyone associated with him out of my life and my family's life for good. That landed hard. The judge looked directly at Jeffrey. That is a serious request. Jeffrey nodded once. I understand. A pause. I'm not asking because I'm confused, he added. I'm asking because this has caused stress, repeated interference, and disruption to my medical recovery. He glanced briefly toward Sam, then back to the judge. I've already said what I need. I want space, I want peace, and I want it to stop escalating. The courtroom went quiet. The judge wrote for a moment, then looked up. Mr. Sam, any final response before I consider the request? Sam hesitated, then exhaled, realizing the direction this was going had shifted away from him. The judge held the room. Proceed carefully. Sam tried one last angle, voice tight. What happens if your family isn't there someday? What if they pass away? You'll have to handle your medical decisions yourself. A few heads turned, some uncomfortable with how far he pushed it. Jeffrey didn't even hesitate. He looked straight at the judge. Your Honor, can you please sign the restraining order already? A pause. I have more important things to focus on than this guy making up scenarios in his head about my life. The room stilled. He doesn't know me, Jeffrey added, calm but firm, and he doesn't get to decide what I can or can't handle. The judge leaned back slightly, studying both sides. Then, enough. The word cut clean through the courtroom. The judge looked at Sam. Speculative arguments about hypothetical future loss are not relevant to the matter before this court. Sam fell silent. The judge turned to Jeffrey. Your request has been heard and is supported by the record, particularly the unwanted interference and escalation to outside agencies. A brief pause as the judge signed the document. The restraining order is granted. The sound of the pen on paper felt final. Mr. Sam, you are to have no further contact, direct or indirect, with Jeffrey or his family. Violation of this order will have legal consequences. Sam stood there with nothing left to say. The judge looked back at Jeffrey. You're free to go. Jeffrey let out a small breath, relief not victory. Thank you, Your Honors. And just like that, it was over. For real this time. Sam stepped forward again, desperate now. Your Honor, this is Munchausen by proxy, he needs help. A ripple went through the courtroom. The judge didn't react right away, then. Mr. Sam, stop. The tone was firm, final. You are making a serious medical accusation without standing, without evidence presented to this court, and without any professional authority here today to support it. Sam opened his mouth, but the judge continued. I am also aware of your prior filings. A pause. This is your 8th restraining order case. That landed hard. The judge's voice didn't rise, but it sharpened. It appears you are projecting your own unresolved issues onto others. Sam froze. I don't know what you experienced with Alan, the judge added, measured, but you do not get to place that trauma onto someone else's family and call it protection. Silence filled the room. You have crossed boundaries repeatedly, the judge continued, and this court will not allow it to continue under the guise of concern. Sam had nothing left. The judge closed the file. You need help, Mr. Sam, but this is not how you get it. A final look. Court is adjourned. The gavel came down. And for the first time, there was nothing left for Sam to say. Before anyone could leave, the judge paused and spoke to the clerk. Please make a note and notify Adult Protective Services of this court's findings. The room stilled again. The judge looked directly at Sam. Mr. Sam Willem, due to the pattern shown in this case and your prior filings, the court is placing limits on your future reports. Sam frowned. What does that mean? It means, the judge said clearly, that if you continue making repeated, unsupported allegations of abuse, those reports may be flagged for review. A pause. APS will not ignore reports outright, the judge added, but given your history, any future claims you make may require corroboration or additional evidence before escalating action is taken. That landed. You do not get to use protective services as a tool to interfere in other families' lives, the judge continued. Those systems exist to protect real victims. Sam stood there silent. The judge turned slightly. If there are legitimate concerns in the future, they should come through appropriate, verified channels, not personal escalation. Then final. This matter is closed. The courthouse doors opened. Sunlight hit first. Jeffrey rolled forward, pausing just outside like he needed a second to let it all settle. No cameras, no noise. Just air. Real air. Tom stepped up beside him, not saying anything at first. Dea came out next, then Josh, then Peter, everyone close but giving him space. For once, no one was talking at him. Jeffrey looked around slowly, taking it in. That's it, he said. Peter gave a small nod. That's it, it's over. A beat. Jeffrey let out a breath he didn't even realize he'd been holding. Good. Josh broke the silence first. So now what? Jeffrey glanced at him, then smirked just a little. Now he said, now we go home. Tom smiled faintly, I like that plan. Dea added softer, no more calls, no more interruptions. Jeffrey nodded, yeah, just normal. Peter adjusted his jacket. I'll finalize everything on my end, but legally you're protected. Jeffrey looked at him, thanks, Uncle Peter. Anytime, Peter said. There was a quiet moment, no rush to move. Then Jeffrey turned his chair slightly toward the street. Hey, he said. Everyone looked at him. I meant what I said in there. A pause. I'm not trying to fight everything, I just want to live my life. Tom stepped closer, resting a hand on his shoulder. And you will. Jeffrey nodded once. Good. Josh grinned, movie tonight. Jeffrey rolled his eyes, but there was a real smile there now. Yeah, but I'm picking this time. Deal. They started moving together, not rushed. No weight chasing them. No voices pulling them back. Just forward. And as Jeffrey crossed the sidewalk, heading toward the car, he didn't look back. Not once.